So, we are live, guys. Hi, and welcome to this live interview. And my awesome guest today is Terry from the amazing channel. Terry, the channel?
Channel, big cosplay forge. So
Yes,
welcome to the forge.
literally the forge. So, behind you, we have some amazing creations, and you are the creator and the amazing designer of this marine that's above my head from Guardsman, and you also played him. That's correct?
Yes. Also, I was the actual Marine in the Guardsman short film. So that was a lot of fun. We'll get into that shortly, but yeah. So anyway, how are you?
Oh, well, I'm fine, Corona, all of those things.
Stuck inside like the rest of us. Uh,
Yeah,
but so
but for a creative
anyway,
person like
let's.
me, it's no problem because I'm just creating and working on something all the time. So it's just,
Oh,
yeah,
good. That's good to hear.
it's not
So
an issue. But let me know, like, how did you start with cosplaying? What drove you into this art, so to speak?
it was actually a funny story. And it was only about 3 years ago. So I haven't been costuming for that long. I definitely haven't been cosplaying for that long. But I used to go to those conventions, like everybody, the comic conventions, and you'd pay your $40 to get in the front door, and you'd walk around for 2 hours. Um, then you go home, and you'd
Yeah.
think, what a waste of $40. I just blew $40 to walk around a convention and then go home. So I said to my wife, I said, look, next convention, I'm going in costume. I don't care. I want to experience this thing from top to toe. So from start to finish, I want to have, I want to experience this cosplay thing. And she says, all right, we'll see. Sure. So she didn't really believe me. So I started off with now just a little bit more backstory is two friends of mine and I, we would do every second Friday we'd have a bit of a boys club where we'd play virtual reality games on the HTC Vive headset and drink beer.
Awesome. Oh, that's great.
So,
That's amazing.
but that started to get a little bit boring after a while, and this sort of coincided about the same time as me deciding I wanted to go in costume. So I said to the guys, I said, "Well, let's build some costumes and go to the next convention." And they said, "Yeah, let's do it. Okay, yeah, let's go." So I started doing a little bit of research, and obviously I'm in no shape to be dressed in spandex or tight superhero costumes. So I thought, you know what? I need a big costume. I need something I can hide in. And it was only then when I came across well, I'd known about Space Marines and Warhammer, but I've never played the game, and I really didn't know much about the history or anything like that. And definitely didn't know there was cosplay costumes until I started researching. And I came across one a blue, I think it was a Blood Angel over in
Mm.
Florida, and by the name of well, the guy that made it was a guy by the name of Gary Sturley, and fantastic, costume, really brilliant. And I thought, I want that. I want to make that. And I didn't even know where to start. I just had no clue. I didn't even know there was the stuff called EVA foam that you make this stuff out of, which is pretty much floor mats. And I didn't know where to get it. I didn't know what it was. I had no clue. So I started doing a little bit more research and homework, and joined a few groups on Facebook, and then that just kept accelerating. By about Christmas, the other guys had given up, and I was stuck there with this big project myself.
Oh boy.
And but one guy had pretty much given up because he couldn't afford it. Another guy had, like the other guy, John. He just didn't have the time. He had the money, just not the time. And so I think by the time I finished my costume, he had a pair of boots done. And so it was, uh, it's a long process in
Oh
making a costume.
yes, yes. That's why
So
I
the
wanted
first,
to ask you, how is the process? But continue on after
I'll get
this.
into the process shortly.
Yes.
So yeah. Anyway, it's took about 3 months for that for the first Marine, which is that guy back there.
Mm-hmm.
So and that was my very very first costume I ever made. Then about through would have been 4 weeks before the convention, John had told his wife that he was going in costume to the convention. So she'd gone ahead and booked accommodation and bought the tickets and everything. And so he came to me. He says, "Look, I need that costume finished. Any chance?" And I said, "All right." So because I knew what I was doing, it took me about 3 weeks to finish his. So that wasn't too bad. And then about a week before the actual convention, and actually it would have been about 2 weeks before the convention, my wife said, "I want to go in costume too." And I think on the stream, it's a far left picture on your screen
Mm.
where you can see the Terminator in the front with the two Marines, and then the girl in the front. That was the first costume I made for her. Now she had
Yes.
found a picture.
Sisters of
Yep,
Battle.
yes, it was a modified Sisters of Battle. She found a picture from a female cosplayer in Germany who had done a much more like a different version of a Sister of Battle. It was a lot more streamlined and more comfortable to wear. So compared to the normal Sisters of Battle costumes, which are so uncomfortable for most girls to wear.
Oh, I can
Um,
imagine.
so yeah, we kind of hit the convention circuit places like a whirlwind. We turned up there, and on the Friday night, uh, once we'd suited up, it took us about 3 hours to walk 50 meters because we were just flooded with people circling us, taking photos and everything. It was the most incredible experience. I'd never experienced anything like it. I'd never seen anything like it. It was addictive.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was fantastic. But yeah, so that got me into conventions, and that was that was great. And so there was a drive continuously from then on to make new costumes, to make better costumes, to make just awesome stuff. And so obviously I started the group 40k Cosplay along with another 40k cosplayer as well, and the like it's just expanded out to a point where nearly got 4,000 members on Facebook now, who are all avidly making costumes
Oh yeah. I joined.
or
I
have
joined.
costumes.
I
I
proudly
know, I saw
joined.
that.
Yes.
I was actually going to a preview, and somebody else already did, because there's 3 admins now. The group has gotten so big that we actually need to have more people helping out with it. But it's a fantastic group. So if you do, guys, girls, and appropriate other Xenos, if you do want to actually make a costume, or you're interested in 40k cosplay stuff in any sort, jump along to 40k Cosplay on Facebook. Come and join us. We're always so helpful with patterns, plans, methods, techniques, how-tos, where to go and get your materials, and so we can walk you through all of that stuff from start to finish and get you suited up in your very own Marine, or I won't say Terminator, because I've had so many people ask me if I can make them one. It's like,
Oh.
no, no, not at all. That
Well,
thing
that
almost drove
must
me
cost a
crazy.
lot too. So it's a lot of material. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours
Actually,
put.
it is a lot of material. I mean, the first time when I made the Space Marine, I started off by obviously learning how to cut foam from a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some foam there, and I had a knife very similar to this sort of thing here. So a little box cutter. So this is a smaller version, but
Mm-hmm.
so and I'd drawn the line, and I was like, okay, now to cut this line. It wasn't that simple. There was a bunch of techniques I had to learn, like how to put the knife on the right angle, and don't stop part way. But the I guess the biggest learning curve was, how do I take it from something in a game or a picture or something like that, or a 3D model, and make that into a real costume. And there
That's the
are
most fascinating part, absolutely.
there's amazing programs out there. One's called Pepakura, and Pepakura is a Japanese paper folding program. So you can take any object, any 3D object, you put it into Pepakura, and it will unfold it for you, so you can make it out of paper.
Mm.
And so it's this unfolding technique that makes us able to make costumes out of all sorts of 3D models. So it doesn't have to just be a Space Marine or anything like that. It can be any type of 3D model. So that is one of the key tools that I use. Now, I started using Pepakura, but now I use a program called Armorsmith Designer. So Armorsmith Designer was created by Randy Kavanagh over in Canada. I think he's in Canada. One guy made this program for cosplayers. He's a cosplayer, and what it is you can put like it has a mannequin on the screen that you can put all of your own dimensions into this mannequin.
Wow.
And then you can load the Pepakura files, so these PDO files, directly into Armorsmith, and then put your armor onto the mannequin and then resize it so it's exactly fitting you.
Oh no, that's amazing. Because I
Oh
have
yeah,
one
so no
friend
more.
that works with. I mean, he also makes such costumes. He made like Darth Vader helmet and C-3PO life size, all of that, and he works with 3D printing. One is with liquid kind of wax actually. One is with plastic. So he's also explaining
Mm-hmm.
me such things. So I'm extremely fascinated. But it seems that this method that you are now telling me about is a lot more advanced. So yeah. Continue.
Oh,
Amazing.
it's so much simpler to do, especially when you're working with these sort of patterns where you have a like a 3D model rather than a physical object to work with. And so obviously when you've got game assets and 3D models of characters, turning that into reality is very difficult unless you can make a pattern out of it, just like a dress pattern.
Hmm.
So let's say you go to make a dress or a shirt or something like this. You still need a pattern to put down on the flat material
Yeah.
and cut out to stitch together. Exactly the same process, except we use EVA foam and contact cement.
Amazing.
So we use glue. Now the glue I use is a special type of glue. It's a very fast-acting contact cement that sticks very quickly and stays stuck for a long time. But so what we do is we print this pattern out on paper, so A4 paper or big sheets or whatever size printer you've got, and then you cut it out and then you lay it down on the foam and you draw it out with a pen, and then you cut it out with a knife,
Wow.
and then you glue it together. So, and that's pretty much the simple side of it. There's a lot of techniques on how to make sure you don't get weird edges and things like that, and how to fill gaps when you've got problems, and the different grades of foam and different thicknesses that you can use for different techniques. Like for instance, oh, this little boy here.
Oh my god. Amazing. That's like
Now
the
all of
Space Marine from Helsreach, basically.
it, well, it is. I mean, I made Richard Boylan a Helsreach helmet, and this is the same faceplate that I used for that, because I made in order to make this skeleton face, I 3D printed a skull, then covered it in latex and everything, and made a mold out of it, and plaster of Paris and everything, and then I used stuff called foam clay, which is basically a putty version of EVA foam that dries to be foam.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Amazing.
push that in, and so everything, like the only thing that's not foam on this helmet is obviously the pipes here and the plastic earpieces. So even that skull up there it's foam.
Yeah.
So all of this is EVA foam. So you can see Um, that's
Yeah.
like even the laurel here. That was done with a laser cutter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is it
you can
glue
use
or is
also.
it one piece? Is it glued
Oh no,
on
no, this
or?
is yeah, it's glued on. So everything with this is it's layer on layer on layer on layer. So when you're starting to make this sort of thing, you now I don't know if you can see, but it's really hard to see, but you can see some lines there.
Oh, they're visible. Yeah, perfectly
Yeah,
visible. Yes.
from a distance you can't see them at all, but
Mm-hmm.
they're what's called cut lines. So the pattern of this helmet actually looks like fingers going out when it's flat, and then you glue all those fingers together and it makes it curve together like that.
Ah, magic.
It's it's pretty tricky. So this is a fully wearable helmet. It's got
Mm-hmm.
fans built in as well, so for cooling and everything, because foam is very, very hot. It's like wearing a wetsuit. It's
Oh,
terrible. It
I
doesn't
can
breathe.
imagine. Yeah.
So, but I mean, like you can see these blocks here. They're just layer on layer on layer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just a solid block of foam. So you just glue them all together and then cut them into shape. So
Awesome.
yeah, but that's. I mean, you just get creative as you're going along. I mean, you always have screw ups. Like for instance, this guy here. I spent ages printing out this, only to find out that it kind of wasn't going to work.
Oi.
So, and this was supposed to be like hand controls, which was it didn't kind of work too well
Mm-hmm.
as a principle, and it's got rubber bands inside, which it wasn't functional.
But you
So
but you did it with with the final costume because you are able to move your fist as far as I saw. Oh, is this the mechanism?
this
Oh.
is the finger. So this is the fabled um, marine finger. All right, so just pulling on that one part means it curls up quite nicely.
Yeah,
So I
that's wow.
and that's how you can actually control everything. So like for instance in the Terminator behind me, he's so big that when I'm standing in him, I'm on 32-inch stilts, so I'm really really high, the
Mm-hmm.
highest high heels you've ever seen,
Oh yeah.
and
I don't have such at all, so
I hope not,
no, no,
but
no.
when I've got him on, my hands are in his elbows.
Oh
He's
my god.
at full arm stretch. My hands are actually tucked down inside his elbows.
Well, that
So
is a
obviously
real
I
life
can't reach the
size.
hands.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I can't reach the hands at all. So I've got long carbon fiber arrows that I've made into rods, and with little rings on the end that control the fingers. So I've got
Amazing.
little puppet controls in the in the arms. And so it's there's you just get creative on how you make this stuff work, and sometimes you can find something else out there that somebody else has done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel; use that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but sometimes you just have to go ahead and stumble through it and make it work.
Oh,
So hmm,
well, you did just an amazing job. I cannot say enough good things about it. And yeah, I'm
thank you.
super impressed. Well, okay, so you started with the cosplay. You went on your first Comic Con. Which was that Comic Con, by the way?
That was Gold Coast Supernova. So Supernova at the Gold Coast, which was in Queensland, Australia,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in March of 2017, I think, from memory. Um,
Awesome.
but yeah, so we went to the convention. We did the convention. Then we did a couple of little country-based conventions after that. But about 6 months after that convention was when we shot Guardsman. Now it was only a couple of months. Sorry, it was a little bit longer than 6 months. Or was it? Oh, I can't remember exactly. It was then, but a short while after that convention, I had a guy from the States reach out to me and this guy's name was Bowman Modine, who was a producer of Guardsman. So he sent me a message on Facebook, and I was like, yeah, it's like, oh, we love your costume. We'd like to put you in a short film.
Oh my gosh,
And
that's so amazing.
I'm going. I just look. Yeah, sure, whatever.
That
So I thought
was.
I'd play along with this. Why not? I've got nothing better to do right now. I'll just go with it. So so I said, I sent back some message saying, sure, yeah, why not? Let's do this. And they said, oh, do you have any walk videos, that, as in movement videos and things you can send us? And so I had my original walk video when I tested the suit out, which was horrible. It was in the backyard. It was just, I mean, you on stilts with a costume wrapped around you, walking on grass on a slight angle is not the easiest thing to do in the world.
Yeah, look at this
So
Astarte right there. Just walking on the backyard. There's no big every day,
and
every day. Just, yeah, it happens there all the time.
yeah, just stroll along, no problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, I sent them that video, and they were so impressed that the ball kept rolling, and he ended up calling me on the phone, and we talked, because I said, look, to be honest, I don't believe any of this, but that's great. So he called me up. We talked for a while, and so I said, yeah, all right, let's do this. Let's keep moving forward. So he sent me a copy of the script, which was very long and complicated. So the original script for Guardsman was nothing like what we shot.
Oh, something like.
Completely different story.
Wow.
Totally different. And would have required considerably more actors, props, locations, scenes, everything. So it would have cost 10 times as much.
Oh, damn
And
it. How, what did it cost now for just these minutes that it was?
7,000 US for the whole thing.
Yeah, Jesus. Well, I can imagine
And
how that, yeah.
but that was including my airfares to get over there and everything. So, it was done on such a small budget that people still don't believe it to this day, that it could have been done on such a small amount of money. But there were a lot of favors pulled in. So, Bowman was the director. Oh, sorry, Bowman was the producer, and Richard Boylan was the director. Bowman's wife was the DP, or lead camera cinematographer, Sarah Garth. She's fantastic. Did an amazing job. We had Alex Choate, who was also doing a favor. He was the art director, and he's right up there in Hollywood as far as prop making and set design and things like that. He's even worked on things like The Mandalorian and stuff like
Wow.
just some of the projects he's worked on are incredible. And so then we had this whole range of top level people that worked for Warner Brothers or all these big companies, big movie making companies that all came together just to do this little 5-minute film.
Yeah,
It was great.
but it is freaking amazing to me.
It was, but I mean, as I said, the script started off completely different. We evolved from that, obviously through budget constraints, through 3 different versions of the script. So the final one that we had was what you actually saw on the Guardsman short, and originally it was supposed to be about 15-20 minutes long. And would have been very, very Warhammerish, which means that most people wouldn't have understood what it was. But because we had to shorten it down because of budget and time, etc., so we only had like 1 day to shoot this thing. This whole thing was shot in 1 single day.
Oh, that was a big stressful moment for you, probably, to be able
Oh, it was
to,
grueling.
to
It
be
was
in this
grueling.
costume and the whole day, probably.
So anyway, we're getting up to about getting ready to fly over there and spend a week over in Hollywood, relaxing back and then making a film. And I say relaxing back, it wasn't relaxing back. It was a lot of stress. and a lot of work. But in order to get over there, I had to bring the suit with me. I mean, that's 7'4" of Space Marine
Oh yeah.
that luckily breaks down into smaller parts. But I still had to get it over to the States, and
Yeah.
I'm in Australia.
I cannot
So
imagine this.
I looked up on how I was going to get it over there. You know, can I ship it? Can I, put it on a courier? Because if it goes missing, if anything goes wrong, the whole
Yeah.
thing's finished. There's no second suit.
Yep.
And so everyone was very, very panicky and about how I was going to get this suit over. And obviously, I wasn't going to send it over weeks ahead of time to people I'd never met. So I only knew them on by phone call and video chat. So yeah, I took it as check-in luggage on the plane.
What? Check your luggage.
So luckily,
How?
because my wife came with me, and so we had with international travel, you can take 2 bags each, and these 2 bags can't weigh more than 25 kilograms.
Yeah.
And so on. So I rang the airline 14 times to make sure this was all okay, and I custom made up out of refrigerator boxes these massive 1 meter cubed boxes. So they were 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, and that
Okay.
held the whole costume and the Guardsman costume as well. So everything into these boxes. So I had 2 of these massive boxes, plus we had a bag each. So that was our check-in luggage, because they didn't really have the restriction about size. But what I wanted to, I called them and made sure they understood that I was taking this, and it was very delicate, and I needed to get it over. So they told me exactly how wide the plane door or the cargo door on the plane was.
Oh my.
And so I made these boxes with 3 centimeters to spare to get it in through the door.
What a hustle, what an effort just to get it
It
there.
was a massive effort, and then obviously at the airport they took us down through a special area, and we went through a special security check where I could actually put the box, follow the boxes right to when they were going to get loaded on. And so we were up waiting for the flight, up in the whatever that area is called again, the lounge.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing at the window, just watching the plane and just waiting for these boxes to come out, because I'm just panicking. It's like they're gonna get lost. And so I saw them getting loaded on the plane, and I could relax.
Yeah.
And then when we got off the plane, I couldn't find them. They weren't in the normal luggage area. Oh, and I started to panic. And my wife sort of taps me on the shoulder and says, "Behind us, there's 2 great big boxes sitting in the corner."
Yeah, you can't miss them.
So no. So yeah, basically there was a bit of a problem just about a week before we flew out too. I had Richard Boylan ring me up and say, he was the director. He rings me up and he says, "Oh, Terry, look, I can't find a Guardsman costume." I said, "What do you mean you can't find a Guardsman costume? It's not really rocket science." He says, I said, "Look, you can get them on Etsy and all that sort of stuff, He says, "No, I've looked. No one's got anything really available at such short notice, and nothing decent." And he said, "Reckon you can make one before the shoot?" I was just like,
Yeah.
"What? You want me to make a costume?" Okay, fine, okay, all right, fine, I'll do it.
At least it's
So
small. At least it's very small.
well, if you notice that and I gather you're quite into Warhammer.
Mhm.
The Guardsman costume is not the same as a normal Guardsman costume. The design is significantly different. So instead of the sort of squarish shoulders, they're very curved and rounded.
Oh yes,
Instead
actually.
of those great big boob chest plates, square chest plates that they've got, there's more angles and cuts to it, so it's more
Mm,
streamlined.
yeah.
It's more like what I believe an armor, like a guardsman armor, should be, versus that cheap, crappy stuff that unfortunately most of the guardsmen in Warhammer 40k have to wear. So he did. Richard did give me a little bit of creative license, and the shins and everything looks like it's close enough to be what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, actually, it's immediately recognizable as a guardsman, you can say.
yep, but if you notice, I mean, there's a significant difference to the thing. Like the Aquila is in the center underneath the plates instead of up on the top. Just the style of it's more like a flak, like a bulletproof vest more than a something made out of spare parts that Marines didn't use.
It looks pretty great.
So
I'm looking at the picture right now that I made instead of black bars on the top and bottom of the screen. So yeah, I'm looking at it and yeah, it's great.
oh yes, there it goes down. It's on the bottom of
Yeah,
your feet. So down. I think I'm pointing the right direction. Oh, there we go, down there.
perfect. Yes, it's there.
So so yes, it was a lot. It was interesting. Like they gave me the creative license to be able to change things around a little bit, but obviously stick with stuff. And that's like my Marine. My Marine is not like he's an Angels of Vengeance Space Marine, but when I made him, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about the chapters and bits and pieces. I chose Angels of Vengeance because it was black and had skulls.
Good
So I
choice.
literally went down through all the chapters. There's a place on the web where you can go where they've got like 1,000 odd chapters,
Yeah, the Warhammer
and
Wiki.
yeah, and all the different color schemes and things. So I'm scrolling down. I've gone, yeah, black, no, black. Oh yeah, that's okay. Black with wings, black with this, black with that. Black. Oh, black with skulls. I like that. And so I knew nothing about the lore, knew nothing about anything like that when I made him. So even to the
Yeah.
point where you can see up behind me the arrow on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So on that shoulder, yep. Now, as most people that play the game know, it's supposed to be a double-headed arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mine only goes one direction because the picture I had it only showed that style, as in like you could only see the front. So I didn't realize there was another arrowhead on the back of it. So I
Oh,
never made an arrowhead on the back.
I, I'm sure it's no problem, you know. At the end of the day,
Oh
this
no,
is
well,
not like the
the
most
problem
famous chapter.
that whole thing doesn't exist in 40k. So many people ask me, it's like, why has he only got an arrow going one direction? I said, Suicide Squad, he's fine.
He's a special guy, and it's just how it happened. They didn't have enough paint in this world where they painted him. So yeah,
So
that's gonna explain it.
well, I'm just looking at your chat, and there's a whole bunch of people asking different things. And yes, you can ask some questions shortly. Let me finish the little stories, and then we'll get to some questions.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So getting back to the Guardsman shoot. So we frantically got everything done, made the costume, and it was up to scratch. And those of you that have seen the Guardsman short film. Some of you may have, may have not, but this is the actual gun from the shoot. It's made of foam.
Okay.
It's literally made of foam. And one thing
Flexible.
that drives me nuts is there is an aluminium rod inside of here, but because I only had a small piece of aluminium, it didn't go all the way through.
Hmm.
And this is it's all foam, and this is PVC plumbing pipe.
Oh,
So it's just all about paint job. That's all it is. It's all
yeah,
about
that's what I
paintwork.
said in my reaction, that because it looks so, with the substance to the materials, that's why I was like, well, this looks so effective on screen when you look at it, that I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks so real. But at the same time, I've seen some CGI works that looks, very close to real. So I'm like, My eyes is like confused at the moment because it's so cinematic and everything. And
That many people thought it was CGI. The Space Marine was CGI, and the Guardsman, even the Guardsman was CGI. I was like, no, that's a real guy. His name's Eric. He's awesome.
oh, he looks real, yeah.
So even things like you see these little things.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yes.
googly eyes. You know those little googly eyes that you can get.
Googly eyes.
Googly
Uh,
eyes. So you get them in the cheap stores and things like that. You stick them on, and
ah.
you give it a shake, and the eyeballs go round and round and round.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So we use whatever is available to make it look like, and then I use house paint to
House.
make to finish. Yeah, exterior house paint, because it's all rubber based paint and is extremely durable, and you can get it any color you like.
Awesome.
So all of this is house paint. So that's why you can scratch it, you can throw it around, you can do all sorts of things, and it doesn't destroy. Um,
Where it
so
definitely gives it a very like hefty look, which is important, especially when it's a weapon. It has to look like it has some weight to it. So
yeah,
that paint
but
gives
but
it this
it's
effect.
it's it's so light and easy, and I mean, it's like there's the handle.
Yeah,
It's
reminds me
rubber.
of the 90s shows where when they bumped into a weapon or a sword, it just bends.
Well, that's the bit that drove me nuts was after we after we did it and it came out. I watched the short so many times. It was just I watched it over and over because it was really cool.
Oh
But one
yeah.
of the things that drove me nuts was when he puts the gun up to his shoulder and shoots. He does that and it bends the gun a little bit. And I've just gone, no, my gun bent. I mean, you have to really watch it carefully to see it, but yeah, it was one of those little things that obviously making the props and the costumes and everything, it got under my skin a bit.
Oh,
But
I get you because you're the creator of all of that, and and you actually notice the details because you look for them. You're intentionally like
you look,
looking
yeah,
for
you
them.
you know where you've gone wrong, and you're just like, no, I didn't want to do it like that. But
Oh, it's very, I mean, when he does that, it's a very effective, tense scene because he's watching at the aliens and he's trying to see them in the dark and shoot them. So we are immersed in this moment and we can notice. So don't worry. Yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
just scary.
basically, it's the idea of movie props, and Alex Choate was on set when obviously he saw all my stuff, and he was blown away. He said, this is really really well made, and I've gone, really? I think it's crap. But sure. He said most Hollywood props, they'd be lucky if they don't fall apart during the scene.
Oy.
So as long as it lasts for that one scene, who cares?
Oh,
Goes in the bin afterwards.
I get that. Yes, I have a sword from the movie Spartacus from 2004, I think, or 6 that was filmed here in Bulgaria. They film a lot of films here like
Hmm.
Rambo, The Expendables, 300 and all of that, and my brother works on the practical effects. So he
Oh,
brought me this
nice.
sword. It's like a aluminium slash iron made sword. So you can see the little chaps and just defects on the blade because they hit it, when they simulate the
Hmm.
fights. But it's durable. It's pretty durable because they actually have to hit each other
They've
with
got to
it.
hit it and make sure it doesn't break. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when they've got props that they have to use, then they try to make them a little bit better. But if it's just something that's seen in the background or picked up or something like that, they don't care.
Yeah.
They'll 3D print it. It's like this one.
Ah.
That's just a 3D print, and that will do perfectly fine as a prop for somebody to hang on to and wield around the place.
Well, that's a whole
Um,
piece, probably, right?
it's just a solid piece. There's
Yeah.
you know there's
Plastic.
the trigger doesn't work or anything like that. But it's just the paint work. So it's
It's awesome.
um, comes down to just making the paint the right paint,
Yeah.
the right colors, the right tones, the right all the right bits and pieces.
Okay,
So
so yeah, we can get back to, if you like, to the filming process and how did you get into the role of this awesome Astarte and how you were supposed to move and all those cool things because on camera you look so freaking epic, like the guardsman is lying there in full despair and you appear out of the darkness and you're just like, I'm the badass of the badasses, gonna kill those Xenos right now. Just don't worry, you little friend.
so the suit is 7'4", right? So obviously that one shot where you see the Marine walking in, he's like, so it's being shot from behind. You see the back of his helmet, top of his shoulder, and it just looks incredible. Yeah, Sarah can't get up that high.
Oh,
So, I mean, her camera was huge, big, massive rig. It took 3 people to lug this thing around.
jeez.
So there was no way she was getting up there that high. So I took my legs off.
Really?
So
Your legs?
if you watch the making video of Guardsman, so
Oh, I'm
there's actually
halfway. I have to finish it. I'm halfway done
if
with
you
the
go
video.
right to the end of it, you'll see me without legs.
Oh,
So because I'm on stilts in the costume, I'm on 15-inch stilts, which obviously gives me the height because I'm not 7'4". So, but I had to take my legs off so that she could have the camera at the right height to film me walking in, and then I had to pretend to be big and striding, and it
yeah.
was a lot of fun. I mean, but it was probably the most grueling time I've ever been in costume. I got to get out of costume, I think either once or twice, I can't quite remember, during the whole day.
Oh, jeez.
And into the night. So we actually started filming it around 9 in the morning. By the time they asked me to get in costume by about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we kept going till 9 o'clock that evening. So it was long. And I think I got a lunch break at some point.
You are a
Actually,
hero. That's what I'm gonna tell you. You're a
no,
hero.
no. Okay, in the costume there are fans in order to keep you cool. So in the
Mhm.
helmet, as you saw with that helmet before, except in the actual Space Marine helmet, there's 4 fans in there. But in the body, there's also a big fan in the back, which draws air in through the backpack and then blows it around my chest to keep me cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, 5 minutes into the shoot, it failed. The body fan
No.
stopped working.
No. Jesus Christ.
So now, here is the worst thing: is we were in a warehouse which had been blacked out completely. Okay, so every window, every light source had been covered up. Um, we couldn't even have fans or air conditioners or anything going because we had smoke machines there to create the ambiance, to create that atmosphere.
Yeah.
Um, it was 35 degrees Celsius outside in LA summer.
Mhm.
And so Los Angeles summer, it was a hot day. It was 42 degrees inside
Oh no, no,
because
no.
everything was closed off. Now I'm sitting there in a sauna suit. Inside my suit was probably closer to 60 degrees. It was now I'm probably exaggerating, but it was hot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
And
because 30 is hot even when you're without clothes, let alone 40 degrees with this costume. Yeah,
it
I
was
feel
it
for
was
you.
crazy. I mean, there was just so much yeah, it was just so damn hot. I was continuously sweating so much that at one point Richard Boylan said, Terry, you know, can you see where your mark is? Where I was supposed to go walk up and then stop. I said,
Yeah.
yeah, where that big pile of sweat is. Because I'd stood there for long enough that it was running out of my suit.
Oh,
It was
jeez.
pooling up in the bottom of the boots.
Oh my God. I really feel for you,
So
damn it.
it was. So at the end, we ended up going to a bar for a celebratory drink, and I literally just had 3 pints of beer, one after another.
Oh,
Straight
wow.
there. I'm good.
Yeah, give me the whole beer, I
That was
say.
It was rehydration and painkiller at the same time.
Oh yeah. Like I said, you're a hero,
So,
so yeah. Absolutely.
oh no. I just wanted to do well. I was having so much fun. But I had a lot of people looking out for me too. Like they were always concerned that I was going to fall over or something like that, because obviously if I fell over, that would damage the suit, and then that would be the end of it. So
Mm.
Richard wanted me to do some crazy things, like as you saw, there was a lot of debris and rubble on the ground.
Mhm.
I had to walk through that rubble
Oh yeah.
a couple of times, and so we realized it was extremely unstable for me to be walking through that rubble. So they had to shoot that whole section twice over in order to get it right. And this is where Alex came in, being the art director and director of continuity, which means that everything had to be put back in its same place.
Oh
So they would
yes.
sweep all the rocks away. I would walk in, do my thing about 100 times, and then they would put all the rocks back to where they were supposed, to exactly where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And because well, continuity is an interesting thing. You know how you're watching a movie or you're watching a TV show or something, and they've got like a glass, like a glass of drink on the table,
Oh yeah.
and it goes from one shot to the next, and it changes.
Oh
That
yeah. Most recently, we
yeah,
had this coffee moment on Game of Thrones. There was like a carton glass, not glass, carton mug from a coffee shop nearby, like next to Khaleesi's table. So in one shot there it was there, and one shot there was nothing, but you can see it,
there
and
was
it
nothing
was,
there.
yeah, it was all
Yep,
over the internet. So Game of Thrones, they drink coffee from not Starbucks, but something similar.
some other place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, and like the level of like the amount of drink that's in the glass. So you'll see a wine glass with wine in it, and one scene they're talking away, blah blah blah, and then cut to a different angle, and then it's half the volume, or it's more full, or so. The person in charge of continuity takes care of making sure that that's exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So there's none of that happening. And so rocks on the ground, things like that, they're all exactly where they're supposed to be. And Alex was fantastic at it. But there was that one, as you saw, I came in, stormed in, shot with the bolter,
Yeah.
uh,
Bambi.
reached out, grabbed the
Tyranids.
Hormagon. I think it's a Hormagon. Yep.
Oh, Homagon
I think they're
Tyranid?
actually. Yep, it's a Hormagon Tyranid. That I found out that afterwards. So grabbed it as it jumped towards me, and so squashed it, and then spun around and threw it. So that big spin around that I did there, all the way around.
Yeah.
Richard wanted that done in one shot. He didn't want to go, take a turn. Yeah, we'll move the camera. Take a turn. We'll move the. He wanted me to do that in one go. I'd never in my life done a pirouette in a costume
Oh
on
my.
stilts in the dark with a helmet that I only had 20% visibility anyway,
Oh Jesus.
in that sort of temperature with very little lighting. So
Oh.
I'm like, okay, if you want me to do this, make sure that there's people just outside of the camera view, like a lot of them, to run in if they see me to start to tilt.
Yeah.
Because I've never done this, but yep, I ended up doing that probably close to 100 times over.
100
Just
times. Just to get it right,
well,
probably. The
just to
movements,
get it, just get it right. Yep.
yeah,
And
because you have to
the
be
biggest
very
problem,
confident in the movement. So that was
yeah,
the issue.
exactly. And I'm not an actor. I'm not trained, so I'm not even a trained, stunt person for costumes or anything like that. I was just a cosplayer that built the costume, and still was learning how to walk in it. So yeah, I had to do things 10 times more than an actual actor would have to do. And that's when when Eric was doing his parts, laying on the ground, giving his monologue, etc. Yeah, I was just standing back going, wow. that's impressive. I mean, he will literally just rattled it out, and he says, okay, well, I want to try it with a slightly different, intonation here. Okay, and then off he'd go again, and it'd be just exactly the same with that slight difference.
Yeah. Absolutely
I was, I
fascinating.
was, I was stunned. I was fascinated. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Um, but yeah, it was so much fun to be on set with all of that happening and watching that. And unfortunately, I suppose me being there rather than a professional did drag it on longer than it should have because, well, I didn't know what I was doing. But they did originally want to put somebody in my suit instead of myself, and I said, look, it would take them too long to get used to it, and they'd have to be exactly my size.
Yeah,
Um,
it's built for you. I mean, you build it for yourself, so it
exactly.
has to fit perfectly. Otherwise, it's gonna be even more dangerous for the suit. I mean, for the person to fall, and
Hmm.
yeah, to fall like
And I mean, the
that and all
suit,
of that.
the whole suit, including everything, only weighs about 20 kilos, so it's not that heavy.
20
Unlike the
kilos.
Terminator, which weighs about 50 kilos, and is quite
Oh,
heavy.
oh my gosh, 50 kilos. Oh, Jesus.
So, I mean, you can see the Terminator behind me here. It's like,
Yeah.
that's this guy. Now, he's actually compressed down because he stands 10 foot tall, um, and my ceilings are only 8 foot. So I've had to, if you see where his belt is, that's
Hmm.
almost the level of where his shins are.
Yeah,
So he's sort of squashed right down.
I see that his
But
thighs are basically missing.
to give you an idea of the size of him,
Oh my gosh. I think that
this is a shoulder.
I think I can get into that and fit.
Yes, yes. When I've got the chest sitting on the ground, I can climb into it and probably have a nice picnic.
Exactly.
So it's quite huge. And but again, this is all just foam. Even though it looks incredible and etc., it's just foam and paint. And
Well,
all these letters were cut out. They're all foam, but they
mhm.
were all cut out with a laser. So I didn't have to sit there and try and cut each letter out myself. I
Yeah,
have a laser that sits just over there.
it looks amazing.
All of this was hand cut out and done. So all the scroll work, I just drew it out on the foam and said that looks about right, and then figured out if I just folded this 5 millimeter foam over like this and then glued it down on itself, it looks really good.
Oh
So
yeah.
you just make this stuff up as you go. So this skull is 3D printed, but all of this is foam. So even these bolts and everything, they're all foam. So see, flexible. And yeah, so the whole thing is, oh yeah, this skull. So the skull itself is 3D printed, but the bones, they're all carved out of foam.
Oh, and then it's glued together.
Yep, just glued together and glued down.
It looks, I mean, so professional because it is. It's a craftsmanship of a art piece, and yeah.
But I mean, you learn how to do these things. You just there's so many people out there to teach you how to do this stuff. That will do it for free. They'll teach you for free. You don't have to pay lots of money. I didn't. So I'll just put this back up here again, and you learn how to put this stuff together. So the engineering behind it is quite massive as well.
Look at that arm. Oh my gosh.
So as you can see, the mechanism inside the fingers is
Mm-hmm.
the same as what I just showed you before with this one here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Look
when I
at
when I
that.
reach down inside here and grab fingers, I
This
can
is
move
just
fingers around.
absolutely unbelievable.
So and that's all foam. So it's all foam. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's awesome material to make things from. So many possibilities. You just
It
have to
is.
know
It
how to
is.
do it and to be a good artist, which you
No,
absolutely
no.
are.
Look, I completely suck at art. I can't do art,
Ah,
but I can follow a pattern.
Well, it's still art though. So you do have to have some kind of a sense to it. So when you learn something, you have to still have this ability to apply it in a adequate way. So I think that in that sort of a way, you
I
do
guess, yeah,
have.
true, true.
You
Yep,
are
very
a
true.
craftsman. That's, I mean, if you are like some kind of a super talentless idiot, I'm not sure that you're gonna be able to pull this out. So don't sell yourself short. I mean, any kind of a effort that produces this kind of a result is totally admirable. So I'm
But I
speechless.
mean, it's just again, it comes down to just patience and learning, learning the techniques and screwing it up. I mean, when I made the Marine, I think I must have went through three times as much material as I should have, because I made things and then went, that's not right. Throw it in the bin, start again, and so you just keep screwing it up until you get it right. That's all I do.
Oh, that is the
So,
process that everybody will go through if they're learning something for the first time. It's
then
totally normal.
there's other things like
Oh, what
if you
is that?
if you like Star Trek.
Oh,
So,
that's from Star Trek.
yep, Star Trek phaser from Discovery.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I've seen these. Oh
So that's
yeah,
that's just 3D printed as well,
and it looks so metally, but it's not.
and it's painted with gloss black paint, and then I used a graphite powder to rub on it, which is a
Hmm.
technique I learnt from another person who was doing sword blades. So they paint it gloss black, and then they rub this graphite powder, like
Hmm.
from the pencils, from the pencils you use at school.
Hmm.
So you get that powder, and then you rub it on, and it turns out to be shiny and beautiful like that.
Yeah, it looks metal as metal could look. I mean,
Exactly, it looks amazing. So
absolutely.
I mean, and that's some of these little bits and pieces you learn along the way. Other like I've got cosplay builders that I talk to regularly. I mean, at least a couple of times a week sometimes, and we exchange ideas and principles and practices, and yeah, we share. And that's like on 40K cosplay, it's all about sharing. You ask a question, you're going to get 20, 30 people comes chiming in with, try it this way, try it this way. I did it this way. This is the result. That sort of thing.
Amazing. Yeah, the
So it's
community is helpful.
really helpful. And I mean, the amount of people that have now built Space Marine costumes, have built Guardsman costumes, have built Sisters of Battle, have built Inquisitors, and whole ranges of different things, Terminators even. Um, it's just incredible. Since Guardsman, there's been just this influx of 40K cosplay
So
that's
basically, you
sweeping the
inspired
world.
a lot of people because you did.
I think I just got in at the right time. I don't think I inspired anyone. I think I just got in early enough that we're at the beginning of it when it all started to happen. But a lot of people have gotten interested, through the game itself, through fan made stories and videos and things like that. I mean, you look at Astartes, that was amazing. There's such an incredible animation.
Oh yeah.
Then you've got things like Angels of Death that's coming out soon, which is the animated series by Games Workshop, which is also, by the way, being produced and directed by Richard Boylan and Bowman Modine.
Oh,
So they
that's
got asked
awesome.
by GW to do that project because of Guardsman.
Oh, that I
So
didn't know
which
that.
was
That's actually pretty damn important. That means that there's some really talented people behind it.
mhm.
Now I'm more excited about it. Thank you
And
for
there's
letting
a
me see.
massive amount. I mean, I believe that the animation team is in your neighborhood. So the people that are doing a lot of the animation, a lot of the 3D modeling and things like that for it are all around the Eastern European bloc.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
mm,
so most of it's happening right in your neighborhood. So,
oh, that's awesome. Well,
but
nobody
this,
contacted me yet, but I'm ready. If somebody's like, "Oh, that girl's from Bulgaria," oh, we're here from this region, so hello.
I'll be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, and that's we're hoping in the future to actually do a Guardsman movie. So there was rumors that we were going to be doing it like last year, year before, etc. But basically, thanks to COVID, everything sort of stopped.
Yeah.
But we're still working on Games Workshop to get the permission to do a full-length feature film with their blessing. We don't need their money; we just need their blessing.
Oh,
So,
they have to be crazy
um,
not to greenlit such a thing. You're gonna do great. I mean, awesomeness. It's
it's
gonna be
it's
produced. They have to do it.
well, I mean, we've talked about it at length. So Bowman, Modine, and myself have talked about it at length, and we're probably going to need around 20 Guardsman costumes. I think we worked out something like 6 Space Marines, a couple of Terminators, a Plague Marine. So to give you an idea of what's going to
Wow.
be in there, some
Oh yeah.
Sisters of Battle. So that was the sort of the costume list that was being thrown around. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, a massive amount of stuff, and the movie was going to tie in with the movie short.
Oh.
So it was literally you'd see the lead up to it, and then then would be the movie short part, and then would be the follow on for the rest of the film.
Oh my
And
god.
I believe the actual lead, the lead guardsman, was a girl.
Was a girl.
A
Oh.
girl, a female guardsman.
Mm,
So,
okay, that's awesome.
and she was, I'm pretty sure, like Bowman had told me that he'd picked an Australian actress to do it, and she was, yeah, she was fantastic, all that sort of stuff. So the project is still in the planning stage. It hasn't gone away. We're just slowly moving forward,
Oh
very
yeah.
slowly.
As long as you don't stop, there's still a chance to be fulfilled, so it just
Oh,
depends on
there's
the
always a chance
situation.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so all right, well that's me in a nutshell and Guardsman. The costumes, the bits and pieces. In cosplay, honestly, we make things out of whatever you can get your hands on. It doesn't have to be made out of expensive EVA foam or or fiberglass or latex molded resin casting, blah blah. You don't have to do all that sort of stuff. You can just go simple. Some of the best
Okay,
costumes
yeah.
I've seen have been made out of cardboard.
As long as it looks okay.
As long as it looks okay, as long as you make sure that you keep things in proportion and make sure that make sure it looks proper how it's supposed to look or how you want it
Mm,
to look.
yeah, and I'm super curious about the Sisters of Battle costume that you have behind you because it's a female figure. How do you do that? I mean, do you scan the person that's gonna wear it because it has breasts and everything? How do you do that to fit?
So so what I did with that one is I started off. I didn't like the original Sisters of Battle costume. It's so bulky and ugly and it's got these funny boobs. I mean, I don't know if it's
Funny boobs.
have a close look at the Sisters of Battle from Warhammer. You'll see that they've got. I mean, literally, it's like it's straight out of something not right. I mean, they're just round. They're just like these boobs. They're balls. They're not curved or anything like that. And then they've got the fleur de lis on on the boobs.
Oh,
It looks terrible.
you have to check how it
It's not,
actually looked. Yeah, but
yeah.
I
I mean,
have some kind of a memory. Yes.
oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, it looks horrible, and it's it might look really, really good on a miniature, but when you scale it up, forget it. It looks terrible.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so, so what I did is I'm trying to remember exactly whose pattern. I think it's Kamui. So there's a German girl called Kamui Cosplay. She puts up patterns and bits and pieces, and she had a female breast chest piece pattern.
Oh yeah, I know
which is
her.
just a
Yeah, she
blank.
does amazing stuff. She's very famous pretty
Yep.
much in the cosplay world. She did also Xena Warrior Princess costume and I looked at that and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that, but somebody else gonna do it for me because yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot
I
of
can,
work.
I can, I can teach you how to do every last little bit. It's not a problem. It's just taking a little bit of patience and just working through it.
Yeah, but I also
So
have to sew the leather, so it's a leather and it's a foam. It's two things.
yeah, yeah.
Using the
And
costume
you
is yeah.
trade services with somebody that can sew leather. You just go, I'll make this for you if you can sew this for me.
Yeah, actually,
That's how we also work.
I have here one guy that makes Iron Man costumes, Predator, RoboCop. I mean, he does everything himself, from Bulgaria,
Hmm.
and he can do it. But he also has to outsource the sewing, but still very very expensive. So I just like put it into the future somewhere when I have to
Yep,
throw
future
like
project.
yeah 1,000 and something Bulgarian leva. So yeah. We'll
Oof, that's
see.
expensive.
It's
The
very
other thing you can
expensive.
do is go to your secondhand clothing shops and just find leather, or like leather jackets and things like that that you can buy cheap or get for free, and cut them up.
Ah, damn. It's not gonna look as good, damn it.
You
Ah,
just dye the leather. It
hmm.
does. It trust me. It's the type of things that we work with is everything ranging from scrap through to, off the shelf bought material, custom design stuff sometimes. But sometimes you just got to use whatever you can. I mean, I've cut up old jackets and bits and pieces to get specific leather or a specific type of material for something. I've taken safety helmets that for construction, pull them apart, pull the insides out so I can put inside helmets. Just all sorts of things like that. So you just get as creative as you have to. I mean, I've got literally. I mean, you can sort of see a little bit of a mess here, but I've got boxes and boxes of stuff that I'm just
Stuff.
keeping in case I'm going to use.
Yeah, for spare
Just
parts, materials, for everything.
yep, just all sorts of things. And you'd be surprised what you use where. Um, so yeah, I mean, over the last 3 years, I've gathered all this crap together. I really need to clean it out sooner or later. But
Well, it's
so yes,
pretty,
where were we? We sort of drifted off into.
yeah, it's a pretty awesome showcase. So behind you, it looks like you're on a set or something. So
Well, I did clean up last night before. I thought this place is such a disaster. There's only barely enough room to walk through or work on the floor.
ah,
So which is I do most of my work on the floor because when you're working with big costumes, you don't have much room.
oh yeah, I know, I
So,
know.
but yes, oh, we were talking about
Yeah, the Sisters
the
of Battle
the Sisters of
armor.
Battle.
And yeah.
So I started with this chest pattern, and then I just sort of extrapolated from there. Now, the boobs on there are really nicely shaped, etc. I did that with a styrofoam ball and a heat gun.
Oh.
So to be exact, I don't have the exact styrofoam ball. This one's a lot bigger, but get these from the cheap shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's way too big for a boob.
Yeah.
Uh,
Unless if you're
but
Power Anderson, yeah.
exactly. But see, you use whatever you need to. So I'll heat the foam up with a heat gun. I'll put it over here, and I'll keep heating it, and then I'll stretch it and bend it, and then it'll hold its shape. So I use a much smaller one than this, obviously, for making the chest pieces. But then you just you curve it into shape, and there you have it. So you have a nice, comfortable chest piece to wear,
Awesome.
and then it's just about putting all the designs and bits and pieces on it. The shoulders. So I looked at the actual shoulders of a Sister of Battle. Then I looked at the shoulders of the Saint Celestine model,
Mm-hmm.
and so that actual costume is based on Saint Celestine, and like the black version of Saint Celestine, with a lot of changes and mods.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it also comes with 14.5-foot expandable wings.
Oh wow. How did
So,
you do? How did you do the wings, by the way? Because here we also have a Comic Con. It's called Adventure Comic Con. A lot of people come from Eastern Europe and Europe in general. Actually,
mhm.
it's pretty big. It's one of the biggest. The Romania one, it's even bigger, but yeah, it's big. So there are some cosplayers that are trying to do Mercy. That's a character from Overwatch. If you heard about this game.
Oh, yep, yep.
So yeah,
Hmm.
one of my friends actually did Mercy. Some other girl also did Mercy. They were just going for different versions, and there was two different types of wings that they both did separately. It was very interesting, like from plexiglass, from plastic. They have to expand and compress.
Oh,
It's very interesting,
yep.
complicated as well.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you'll get static costumes and props that don't do anything, like this one.
Yeah,
Other times you'll get things, like with moving parts and electronics and lights and smoke and all the bits and pieces. So you can get as simple or as complicated as you want. And so with the wings, I mean, my wife made her own wings. I just helped her out with a bit of the engineering, but she actually made them, and yeah, it took her about a year and a half of lots of procrastination and wanting to quit, but I just kept pushing until she got it done, and now she has an amazingly huge set of wings.
awesome.
Um,
I can
with
imagine.
real feathers. So there's real feathers on there as well. But if anybody wants to make wings, they're very expensive to make. Very expensive.
I
So
can.
I think it cost us close to about 1,800 Australian dollars just to make those wings.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's expensive.
How much for
So
the costume, for the basic costume?
for that,
Yeah.
counting the foam material, etc. I'd probably say that's less than $100 worth
Really? That's pretty good.
in material. But then you've got the labor
Mm-hmm.
and all the rest of it. So, but as far as material and paint and everything, it's probably under $100. Um,
Well, it's
ten
not
dollar pair,
like
pair of
like
shoes.
it's not also
And
that
then
expensive.
there's no bodysuit or anything underneath that one, which is good. Um, so, is the sword real or foam? The
It's
sword is
always
actually
it should be foam because otherwise you won't be let in into any convention if it was
the
real.
the sword is actually made of stuff called maxi T board, which is the
Hmm.
same stuff that they make boat floors out of.
Oh, okay, that's
So
interesting.
boat floors have to be light and they have to be able to float, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be strong. So I came across this material, which is like polystyrene, the same stuff the ball is made out of, except it's compressed really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what this is. And so it's very easy to carve, it's very easy to shape, but it's also strong,
Yeah, it's not wingling.
and it's very light. So and there's a 3D printed handle, a little bit of EVA foam just on there, just to give it that look, and that's it.
Oh, it's awesome.
Simple.
It's
Painted
great
silver
to
with a little bit
twist
of
it.
airbrushing up the middle to give the different look, and that's it.
Yeah, it looks pretty real. Pretty, as
No, it
always.
doesn't look. It's
I
the good
mean,
thing is
yeah.
you can, like, getting things to look real is hard. Doing things from Warhammer 40k where it doesn't have to look real, that's fine.
Well, it still
You got plenty
looks,
of
you know,
flexibility.
it has this feeling of how to say it. I mean, it's not real as a real functioning sword like battle ready. I watch a lot of
Hmm.
channels that cover real swords from Vikings era, other different eras. They
Hmm.
test them, all of that. So battle ready and like a sword for decoration, are also two different things. And in 40k, although it doesn't look like real, I mean that it looks real in a way that, well, you can say that is a sword from this universe and you perceive it as real in that sense. I don't know if that makes
Yeah, no,
much
it makes
sense, but
perfect sense. It's
yeah.
if it's So a lot of fantasy stuff, people will see it and they'll forget about the paintwork and the bits and it may not look real, but it's real to them because it comes from that universe.
Yeah, yeah,
And they know the weapon, they know the prop, or the costume or whatever it is. So it doesn't have to have all those perfect fine details to make it look weathered and realistic.
yeah,
A lot of the
yeah.
times. So, but yeah, I
Right.
mean, there's a lot of props and bits and pieces that I've got floating around that I've just made and then thrown away.
It's about the process, the learning curve, and eventually you get to this point where you just know your stuff and you're not making as much as mistakes, and you don't throw out so much material. And yeah.
Exactly, and it's a hobby. It's something fun to do, and it's a learning curve. Like right now, I'm learning how to make prosthetics.
Hmm.
So latex prosthetics, and I'm learning how to sculpt for the first time in my life. So I'm sculpting with clay.
Ah.
And I'm horrible at it. I'm bloody horrible at it. But
Oh no, you're gonna get good. I know it. You're gonna get
yeah, but
good.
it's gonna take me time.
Of
But
course,
that's
every good thing
and
takes time. Yeah.
exactly practice, practice, practice. So no one's ever good at something straight away.
Of
You
course
always got to
not.
practice.
Of course, yeah. I drew this Astarte from my Golden Astartes server, and I put it into CorelDRAW. That's a vectorized, for vectors program. And now it's way
Yep.
better, but in the beginning it was like this. You know, it,
That's cool. You
well,
drew that?
yeah.
You're a great artist. I can't draw to save my life. I can't draw at all.
Well, now it's way better. Now it's actually way better than this. And I'm still working on it, so.
So okay, get yourself a program called Inkscape.
Inkscape.
Inkscape is a free version of CorelDRAW.
Oh, really? Well, that's interesting.
Yep. And the beautiful thing is, something like that, you'll scan that in, and then you just go straight up to convert bitmap to vector, and boom, you've got all your lines.
Well, I can do this with CorelDRAW, but it's not, not perfectly precise in whatever version I tried. So I do have to do some things by hand. I mean, if I want to be like perfectly, like smooth and everything, I still have to
Hmm.
do it by hand. But yeah, I
Oh
know
no,
about
have a
it.
look at Inkscape. It's free and it's extremely powerful for that. It's what we use for all our 2D line work for laser and stuff like that. So because when you're working with lasers, you do exactly that. So if I wanted to take that picture you just showed me and um, have that burnt into an object or cut that out of acrylic or something like that, then it has to be vector lines.
Yeah.
And so I would take that, scan that in, um, convert it to a vector, and then just touch up the little bits and pieces. And it would
Okay.
take no more than 10-15 minutes to have it all ready.
Yeah, I guess everything has to be a vector in order to,
Hmm.
to be traced and then created
Yeah.
afterwards.
So a laser is like a pen. It just follows a line. So if you've got like a whole bunch of lines, it'll try and follow every one of those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with these processes, so that is awesome.
But
Okay,
that's a
so
really good picture. I like that picture. You're
well,
gonna I'm gonna have to get you to draw my Terminator for me.
I can do it, but there's a lot of better artists than me. I basically stopped at 14, and since then I haven't really progressed much in my my talent in that respect because I'm doing other things visually and I just jump on one
Hmm.
art to the other to the other. I'm just like multifunctional. So eventually, drawing things were just too tiring for my eyes and I just had to quit it. And video making was more like feeling, I
Fun.
mean, it felt like the next step. So I just went there and I haven't drawn anything for a few years. And then I decided to make my own chapter homebrew. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw an Astarte, and I just started. And it turns out that I still remember how to do it, but I wouldn't say I'm very
So what's
good.
what's what's your favorite chapter?
I'm still have to. I mean, I have to make a top 10, so I have not decided yet. I have to learn all of them, like really precisely. Yesterday, I made a video like Imperial Fists. Well, actually, you watched that, I think. that
Hmm.
stream.
Yep.
Yeah, so I explained also there that I still have to learn that so I can make like a top 20 without the two places where, we're missing two Primarchs. So yeah, I just want to really like learn them, and then I'm gonna make and decide, which is my favorite, because I'm really, I just want to be very accurate in my decision and to measure them by qualities and not just be like, oh, those are red. I pick red. Like everybody are like, oh, Blood Angels are the
I,
coolest, and I'm like,
I
why?
picked Angels of Vengeance because they were black with skulls. Now, and in the lore, they had about this much written about it. So about one paragraph about the Angels of Vengeance.
That's
You go have a
perfect.
look now. There's big stories about the Angels of Vengeance because Guardsmen just excited everybody, and they realized it was Angels of Vengeance, and so people started writing stuff about it. So it made it more and more and more and more. But I've talked to so many people about, how do you choose your chapters?
Yeah.
Seriously, when you're playing the game, how do you choose who you want to be, who you want to follow? And 95% of the people go, "I like the color.
Yeah. They're blue. Ultramarines.
It's
Oh
got bat
no.
wings on the helmets. I
Yeah.
want that." or I like playing chaos because I'm mean and nasty, or I like playing orcs because they're dumb,
Yeah.
and they're all green and they can make stuff.
And
It's
unpredictable in the tabletop, and they can have like interesting outcomes when you roll the dice. A lot of
exactly.
things.
So I mean, there's so much to learn. It's like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. When you start off with Dungeons and Dragons, you pick your character class, or your character race. I want to be yeah, elf or a human or a dwarf or a halfling or something like that, and and then it just goes and goes and goes and goes from there. I guess you have to have a starting point, and you don't want to pick a starting point.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big philosopher, so that's why I'm, starting to learn about everything and be like, okay, these guys have morals, they have a code, they have some principles, so that's gonna differentiate them from like another chapter that's more like chaotic, crazy, and all of that. So
But
basically,
what
whoever
happens if
has,
they're the perfect morals and the perfect setup, but their colors really suck?
oh, well, I don't know. I mean,
That's where you run into trouble every time.
well, I don't play
But
the tabletop because it's extremely expensive. It requires huge space, which I don't have. I found
mhm.
out like after that I when I got into 40K that in Bulgaria there's actually teams that play against other teams. Last time I was
Mhm.
informed by Russian fans that Russia was against Bulgaria. Russia like was first place. We were like second place. I'm like, what? I didn't even know that existed here, but okay, that's great. But for instance, there's a chapter, oh, damn it, those green guys. The salamanders, yeah, they're green, and I don't really like their
Mhm.
colors or anything. But if they turn out to be the most moral of the chapters, or just the chapter with the most qualities that I value, they're still gonna be number one, no matter if they're green, and I don't really like that green that much. So I just try to be objective. That's how I do things.
Well, I like Angels of Vengeance because I think they're an Unforgiven chapter. They're a successor chapter to the Dark Angels, but they're Unforgiven, which means that basically they're considered to be almost chaos, but not chaos.
Hmm.
But secretly, they work directly for the Emperor, and the Emperor sends them in as the mercenaries. It's like grab these guys, go in there, clean up that mess.
So they are like low key, like secret agents almost.
Yeah, very much so. And so even like after I picked the colors, that sort of thing, and then I started researching it, and more came out about them. And yeah, I thought, wow, I picked the right ones. That's really cool.
Yeah, just they were just standing there to be, featured in that film, and it was just destiny, all around.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's like for instance, you see the helmet on. on the Space Marine, it's like the faceplate there is a lot larger than a normal one, and the mouth plate piece,
Yeah, the
and
grill.
it's got the grill, and it's got bellum written across the front of it, which means in Latin that's war, and so the Latin that's actually across the shoulder is not High Gothic; it's just normal Google translated Latin. Just things like that. It's just there's so many different things about the costume that is not, it's not Warhammer 40k accurate. But people don't care. They just want to see live action. They want to see some big robot tromping in and squashing some aliens and saving a guy.
Yeah, but there's the other element where when you make something on screen, you kind of solidify it so it could become canon just because it's on screen now. It's visualized. It came
And
to
which
a
I think it
fruition.
has. Yeah, I think it has become canon. I mean, it's a lot of people will refer to Guardsman and the Space Marine as that's what a Space Marine is supposed to look like. Whereas actually that's a modified version. The pattern I started with was not that tall. It was only more like human size. But because obviously I ordered some stilts from eBay, and they were 15-inch high. When they turned up, the pattern that I was working with was only designed for an 8-inch lift, not a 15-inch lift. So I had 7 inches, which I had to try and make up.
Oh my.
And so anyway, I had to extend the shin. So I made the shin longer.
Hmm.
And then it looked really goofy because obviously you got these long legs and then you got a short body.
Yeah.
So my wife said, well, why don't you just make the stomach section a little bit longer
Yeah.
and drop the waist down a little bit. So drop your waist and hips down a little bit, and so that made the entire body longer and fit everything perfectly. So obviously I had to have hand extensions then and things like that to make the arms look the right length. But that's how it ended up being the right shape and the right proportions,
Yeah,
which
I
by pure accident.
totally get it. After all, you have to fit into a costume that is made for, a not existing enhanced soldier that is way bigger than a real human. It's supposed to fit him perfectly, but you're like human size.
Tiny. And that's the same with the Terminator. The Terminator is massive. I mean, it's a huge costume, and you can see there's videos out on YouTube of me getting suited up in it and walking around.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said, you've now proven that a normal person can wear a suit of that size and
Yeah.
and move and walk and function.
Absolutely,
Uh,
yeah. That was always a
and so,
question also that I had in my mind. First time that I saw something like this was the CGI version of that big suit that Iron Man had, the Hulk
the
Buster.
Hulkbuster. Yep,
Yeah, and
yep.
that's the first time that I saw something similar before 40K, and I was like, oh, that would never work in real life because that the human is just too small. But
Yeah.
well, the Terminator is smaller than the whole Buster, but still, to see it functioning in real life and you don't actually have any robotics inside, it's just engineering of everything, and it's movable. That's awesome accomplishment on itself.
Thank you. It was a lot of screwing around to get it right. But
Well, you did so.
and it's pretty impressive when you look on the inside of it. I mean, from the outside it looks fantastic, but from the inside it's even far more impressive again, because you've got there's from shoulder to shoulder there's a metal bar which goes all the way across, which holds everything, so the chest and the shoulders and everything up, and the arms are strapped up to that bar, so I don't have to hold the arms up. I can just let go.
Oh yeah.
Um, Now there's that metal bar has a solid plastic brace, like a plate, which wraps over the bar and goes down, and then I've got a backpack harness sewn, actually stitched to that big plate. So when I jump in and connect everything up, everything clips up to the harness. So the legs and everything, they all clip up. so that my whole body takes the weight of the costume rather than just my shoulders.
Yeah.
And but I can let go of the controls in the arms, bring my arms inside the chest, and just fold them and relax, and then I can just start to walk with my arms folded, and the arms will actually just sway side to side on their own.
Oh, that is just amazing. I can only imagine how that looks in real life. I mean, I've seen the Comic Con footage and it's impressive on its own. I was like, I cannot believe my eyes, And I've seen a lot of costumes in person on our Comic Con, but of course, nothing like this. So if I see this in person, I'm just gonna go somewhere and faint, like in peace, so I
I
can
think I think I
get
think
over
most
it.
people haven't seen anything that size. I mean, there's only been a couple of costumes at conventions that have been that big. And they're varying different styles, and like I've seen some Transformers that are nice and big. I've seen I've seen obviously a few Warhammer costumes. Fred and Ellie Designs. Fred's got an orc mech that he did that's 10 foot tall and 8 foot wide, and
Wow.
about 6 foot deep, so it's bigger than the Terminator. Um,
Ooh.
but and it's massive, absolutely gorgeous too. But there are some big costumes out there. I mean, over in Europe, there is probably at least half a dozen Terminators that stand, around the 9 foot tall mark,
Wow.
and go to a lot of the conventions. So some of the boys that I hang out with on my channel, they are over there in Finland and Sweden and Norway, around those sort of areas, and they go to the conventions in their big Terminator costumes as well. So there are
Oh,
quite a few out there.
I have to
Um,
check the group if they're in the group, if
oh yeah, they're all in 40K cosplay. So
okay. I'm gonna check them out.
everybody just slowly eventually gets to 40K cosplay.
Amazing. So I,
So,
I just have to ask you, what are your future projects in the meantime while you're waiting for the movie hopefully to start and to work on that? What are you doing in the meantime?
okay, future project. I'm currently in the planning stage. So the 3D modeling and bringing up the patterns, or making the patterns for a Primaris Aggressor full size suit.
Oh, that's
So
amazing, Primaris. Oh, that's gonna be. Oh, that is actually very
it's
fascinating
not
because
just
the body is
a
like
Primaris, but
longer. I mean,
yep, but
it's.
not just a Primaris. It's going to be the Aggressor, which is the heavy duty Terminator version. And it looks amazing. He's got power fists on each hand, like these mini power fists, and they've got assault cannons on the power fists. And then he's got these huge packs, and then he's got a grenade launcher on the top across his shoulders, and yeah, it's just brutal. It's like a Primaris armor, except extra plating. So
Oh,
uh,
jeez.
just really really solid.
Oh, okay.
And so
Who are you making this for? Is it like an order or you're making it
no, I'm making it for me.
for you?
I don't do commissions for people. I mean, occasionally I'll make something for somebody because I like them, but mostly because mostly I don't make things for other people. I just make them for me. Um, yeah.
Well,
So
since you won that, I imagine that's gonna be a lot of material, but now you're very good, so you're not gonna throw that
I
much
have
out.
I have behind the costumes over there is about this thick of material waiting for that project. So I've been stockpiling EVA foam to do it.
And how
So
long do you think that that's gonna take you in general?
it'll take around 4 to 6 months
From now.
from start. Yeah, from start to finish. So because I mean the planning stage, I had to get somebody to actually model it for me because I'm not very good at 3D modeling. So a guy over in India, I paid him $250 to model, to model the Primaris Aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent him all the pictures and images and bits and pieces, and then he made the model up. And then I had to get another guy from the States because the model was way too complicated. I had to get another guy from the States to help me to simplify it down, make it easier. And now I'm in the process of putting all these tiny little parts together, and then obviously making patterns out of those parts.
Oh,
So
jeez.
it's long and it's painful, and it's a lot of people go, oh, I want to watch you do it. It's like, no, you don't. You don't want to sit there for 8 hours watching me move bits and pieces around to make a pattern.
It's literally grinding something, like trying to make a statue out of a huge rock, and you have to like do this. But it's just in other ways. But it's basically like a metaphor for for that. With the
So
hammer
Dark
and
Dark
everything.
Lightning just said, "How do I fit into the Sister of Battle costume?" I don't.
Yeah.
That's my wife's costume. Thank you. But my boobs wouldn't fit in there. Sorry, they're just too big.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. Well, look. I mean, it's been fantastic, and thank you so much for like taking the time to ask me about all the fun stuff.
Oh,
It's
thank
been
you
great.
too. Yeah, it's been
But
just awesome. Thank you.
I do have a few more projects on the list as well. By the way, I've got other things like the robot from the new Lost in Space series. I want to do that. That's a massive task. But
Oh,
there's a lot of things. So, but anyway, what else? Have I tried to make a orc war boss suit? No, I'm still getting into the prosthetics and the organic side of things. So organic stuff is a lot harder because there's all sorts of curvy shapes. Still working on that stuff. A Primarch suit. I have been asked to make Primarch suits, but again, more unrealistic because the taller and bigger you get, the harder it is not to have a tiny head.
yeah.
So,
It's gonna be super tiny on the Primark, even worse than the
exactly.
Terminator.
So unless you've got a big prosthetic foam head that goes along with it, it's going to look silly.
I would just love to have emperor costume, but made in female form, so in smaller, so it can fit me. That's gonna look just amazing and golden.
I can help you work on that if you like.
Well, if I have, like I've said, time and the resources, I'm definitely going to ask you for that. Yeah.
Sure, not a problem. I mean, and I can always find local people in your area that can help you out as well.
Oh,
So
yeah,
40K
there are a lot.
cosplay is
Yeah.
worldwide.
Ah, yeah, absolutely.
So
There's
you,
so many passionate people here.
exactly. All right, Gary, thank you so much for your time today. I've got to go. I've got a meeting actually starting in 3 minutes
Okay, okay,
for work,
thank you.
for actual work.
Yes, of course. So thank you very much, Terry. The links to your channel is already down below. I'm just gonna put the link to the Facebook page as well, Facebook group, so
Yep,
everybody can join.
fantastic.
And I hope that I can see you for your future awesome projects when you're ready with that. We can discuss.
Excellent. Feel free to hit me up if you just want to, gas bag and talk about whatever. So,
Awesome.
all right,
Awesome.
guys, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys, and bye bye for me too. Have a great night. Bye bye.